G'day.
Okay.
Chris,
How you
how are
going?
you?
I'm
Yeah,
well.
good. Yeah.
All right, now
Rob, how are you?
just let me admit some more.
Correct.
People. 1,
You go.
2, 3. Okay, everyone should be coming online now. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
David. G'day, David. And David.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Chris.
Good evening, gentlemen.
G'day.
Good evening, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I hope everyone's well.
Yeah.
So we've got Jim, we've got Rob, we've got David and David. So we're going to go D1 and D2. But maybe we'll call them Coxie and Dixon or something. I don't know. And of course, Craig's here as well. How are you, Craig?
G'day, how you doing?
Yeah, very
Yes,
well,
Craig.
thanks, mate. Very well. Now, we might have, if we don't do this a certain way, we might have a lot of problem with microphones cutting in and cutting out. So what I'm going to do is, because I'll be doing most of the talking, I'll be speaking. If you've got something you want to say, just do me a favor and just give me a little wave, because then I'll see it and I'll address you by name, and then you can speak. And that way we won't all be talking over the top of each other, and hopefully won't be cutting off each other's microphones too much, because I don't want to spend half an hour of us just all talking at the same time and not getting anywhere. Does that sound okay to everyone? Give me a thumbs up if that works. Awesome, awesome. Okay, great. So I trust everyone. I can see most of you have got your guitars. Has everyone got their bits of paper all printed out, ready to go?
Yep.
Yep, good. And if we've got pencils and all that, we can pretty much get started straight up.
Yeah. I just wanted to stay
Yes,
for
Jim.
5 seconds and just
Yes.
say hello and welcome to everybody, and welcome to you, especially Chris. You're going to be challenged with veterans, and listen, fellas, it's all yours. You know, we're here to support you in every way we can, and just hope that Guitar for Vets will be a stepping stone for you to really enjoy playing the guitar. Dave, yours.
Yeah, I'd like just to say a few words. We've the program's been going since about 2017, and we've supported about 40 vets across the country. So it's pretty good stuff, and we're very happy about the way it's been going. But this innovation with Chris and the Zoom meeting is new, and I suppose with the plague we've got going on, this is a good idea and a good approach. But it's a wonderful thing. So I just want to welcome you on behalf of Guitars for Veterans. Enjoy the 10 weeks, enjoy the guitar, get the most out of it, and maybe this is a stepping stone to better things and more music, and enjoying the simple wooden strings. It's a great thing. That's all I've got to say. So that's all for me. Back to Jim and Chris.
That's great. Thank you so much, mate. And thank you, gentlemen, for getting me on board with this. I'm really excited to be doing this. I've been teaching guitar for probably the last 20 years now. I've had students from 5 years old to 65 years old. I've never had a student I couldn't teach, and we've always had a bunch of fun. So I'm expecting nothing less from this group as well. I'll just give you a very, very quick spin around. I'm at my home studio here. I've got my guitars here. I've got a nice little Pearl drum kit in the corner. There's our PA system. Then over here, we've got some amplifiers, another drum kit, and our piano that I've been teaching on. So this is just my shed decked out, and I'm teaching from home. And thanks to Zoom, we don't have to be in the same place to be able to do this together. So without any further ado, if anyone's okay with that, I'm going to get straight in and get started on our lesson. And like I said, if anyone's got a question, wave your hand like that. I've noticed Brian. I can't see Brian on the camera. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I'm here somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know if that's my fault or yours. I will try and get the video started here.
And
Okay.
Rob's trying. Oh, I think.
Okay. No,
Oh, hang on, I've got a start my video thing come up.
yeah, that's it. Just click on accept or okay or whatever that's saying.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, how's that?
There we go. Now I can see his face.
An old bloke with glasses on.
And what a lovely mug it is too.
Who, me?
Thanks on board, mate.
That's three of us. Four of us with glasses. Five of us with glasses.
Five of us.
Six. Yeah, I just want to drop out so the boys can get on with it.
Yep.
All right.
Not a problem.
Thanks very much, Chris, and I'll contact you because I've got more on the list.
Excellent.
Right? You may need another group. All right.
Great. Thanks
Okay.
for stopping by, Jim.
See ya. Contact you, Dave.
No worries.
Thanks,
I will.
fellas. Enjoy. Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Oh, someone's dog's barking. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're going to get started. Now, those three sheets that I handed you guys that I sent via email, the one I'm interested in first of all is the note position sheet.
That one?
Grab that piece of paper. That's the one. Yep, he's holding it up right there. It's basically a picture of the top part of the neck of our guitar. So the guitar is actually, believe it or not, guitars were developed based on the shape of the female figure. It's got shoulders, hips, and a waist, yeah? Then it's got an extremely long neck, which is not like any woman I've ever come across, but that's what it is, and a head stock up here. So we've got the head, the neck, and the body, which is divided into the waist. Sorry, the waist is here, the hips here, and the shoulders here. And basically what you do is you sit the waist of the guitar over the curve of your leg like this, and then you pull it back against your torso so you can feel the vibration of the strings through your body. That's the way to sit with this instrument correctly, and that's the way to play it, okay? I'll just move my camera down a little bit. So sitting like this with the neck pretty much straight. You don't want it like this, you don't want it like this, you just want to keep it level, yeah? Now, you've probably all had a muck around with these things already and figured out how to make a bit of noise on it, but today we're going to try and make that noise make sense. Now, the sheet that we're looking at, I'll grab my texter here. Just let me know, can everyone see what I'm drawing on the whiteboard? Is that clear?
Oh, barely.
Barely? All right, let me move the camera up a bit.
Yeah, that's better.
That's better? Okay.
Yep.
So basically what we're looking at here is imagining that this sheet is the top of our guitar, okay? So we've got 6 strings that run downwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we've got all these little lines that run across the neck here. These little pieces of metal are called frets, okay? I'll write that on here. F-R-E-T. Now the frets are the bits we have to push down to make sound on the strings, to make the notes different. If I play this 6th string here on its own, I get a note. If I push down the first fret, I now get different notes at every fret. Okay, that's how we make our new chords. That's how we make our different sounds. So to start with, we want to look at some of the basic terminology. Our strings run in order from right to left. This is the first string here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, okay? So it's actually upside down. When the guitar's on your lap, the first string will be at the bottom, the thinnest one, okay? Furthest away from your face. The 6th string, the thickest one, which makes the lowest sound, is actually at the top of the instrument, okay? Now, the strings have a have a name attached to each string. If you just play that string on its own, without using any frets, we get 6 different notes. Each of those notes is one of the letters of the alphabet. And the notes are as follows: E, B, G, D, A, and another E, okay? So the first thing you can do is grab your pencil, jot those names into the top of your sheet. So we've got 6 letter names for the 6 open strings. Now there's a very simple mnemonic we can remember to remind us what those letters are. From the 1st to the 6th, if we remember this little sentence, Easter Bunny gets drunk at Easter, then we can remember the letter that goes with each string, okay? Easter Bunny gets drunk at Easter. Now the 1st string and the 6th string are both the same note, but they don't sound the same, okay? They're both an E, but one is a low E down here on the 6th string, and one is a high E up here on the 1st string. but they should both be the same note. Now, if your guitar's out of tune, they might sound slightly differently. We'll talk about tuning another time, because today I want to start working on how to actually get some nice sounds out of this thing. Everything, mate, everything good so far? Give me the thumbs up if you're following along. Good. We've lost someone. Who have we lost? We've only got 5.
Yeah, Rob Atkins dropped out just before, so.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just keep an eye on here to see if he's trying to get back in, because I might have to admit him, but there's nothing here at the moment. He's disappeared. All right. We'll keep moving. Now, at the moment, they're the only notes that we're interested in. There are a whole bunch of other notes in here. There's a whole bunch of circles that I pulled in for notes that we'll fill in the future, but we don't want to worry about them right now. We just want to talk about the basics of what a string is, what a fret is, because that's all we need to know to be able to start playing chords, which means we can put songs together, okay? So the frets themselves, this thick line at the top here represents the piece of plastic that sits at the top of your strings. This little piece of plastic here, okay? That's called the nut, N-U-T, nut, okay? That's called the nut. From there, we count down, we start counting our frets. First fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, fifth fret, all the way up to 19 or 24 or however many is on your guitar. We're only interested in these first few at the moment, and that's why our picture's only got the first few on it. So now, we're going to talk about how to play a chord. How to play a chord. We get rid of this and start again. Now, the sheets that are, I think one of the sheets was basic chords or open chords.
Open chords.
Open chords, right. Now, there should be 2 pieces of paper, the open chord sheets. And down the left-hand column of those pieces of paper, you'll see the letters of the alphabet. A, B, C, D on one sheet, then E, F, G on the next sheet.
Yep.
Great. So grab the sheet, grab the piece of paper that starts E, F, G. We're going to skip to E, F, G first. Right. So that piece of paper has 12 little blank diagrams on it that look like this, and they're labeled E, F, and G, and then various different types of those chords. E, M, E7, E, M7, F, M, and so on, okay? The ones down the left-hand side, the ones that are just the letter name, E, F, and G, those are what we call major chords, which means they're the most important ones. It's not a rank, it's just their name, okay? E major, F major, G major. We just call them by their letter names, E, F, and G. And these are our starting chords, which we then alter to get all our other types of chords. So we're going to look at a couple of the major chords first. And we're choosing E first because E is the easiest one to play. It's that simple. The guitar is tuned to the key of E, so the E chord becomes an easy one to play. Now here's what we do. These diagrams here at the moment are blank. What we're going to do is we're going to fill them in with a series of dots. And then those dots get labeled with numbers, which correspond to fingers on your hand, and that's how we make a chord. So everyone hold up your left hand. Left hand, right? Now on our left hand, which I'll do it opposite for the camera, we don't count our thumb because that lives on the back of the neck, but we count our index finger as 1, then 2, 3, 4. Some chords will only require 1 or 2 fingers. Some chords will require all 4, okay? So these numbers here on this little diagram tell me that for the chord E, which is the first one on our sheet, we need 1, 2, 3 fingers to go in these positions. Here's how we translate it onto the guitar. Our first note here, if we count across from right to left, 1, 2, 3, we'll see we're on the 3rd string. Now it's drawn just behind the 1st fret. That's where we've got to put our finger. So on our guitar, we go up to the 3rd string, 1, 2, 3. We go to the 1st fret, and that's where we sit finger number 1, which is our pointer finger. So it's going to look like this on the instrument, across to the 3rd string, up to the 1st fret. Okay, so sit your guitar on your lap if you haven't already got it, and then try putting your finger on that position. The 1st fret on the 3rd string. Here's a nice big fat close up. That's what it looks like. 3rd string from the bottom, up to the 1st fret, but not over the top of it. Right, so once I've got my finger on that 1st fret of the 3rd string, I'm going to lock it in there and then look for the next finger, number 2, and I've got to put that on as well. Number 2 is up on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th string, down to the 2nd fret. So 1 is going to go here, 2 is going to go here, up to the 5th string on the 2nd fret. Hopefully that's clear enough for you to see. Once I've done that, I then look for number 3 and I find that it's tucked underneath the 2nd finger on the same fret, but down on the 4th string, not the 5th string. So now I can go 1, 2, 3 and get them all into position like that. And once I've got those 3 in that position, I'm ready to play an E chord. So we put our fingers in that position and then we've got to squeeze them together against our thumb. Imagine we're trying to touch our thumb with our fingers, but of course there's a guitar in the way. We need to push them down nice and hard to get the strings to resonate cleanly. So I know we've all got our microphones turned on. That's all right. It's probably going to play over the top of each other, but everyone have a crack at that E chord. See if you can get it to sound half decent. We want to strum from above the 1st string all the way down to the bottom. Start your strum up here, finish it down there.
Now I'm using a pick. You need to use the fingers or can use a pick.
Okay, let's talk about that right now. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So I've got a pick here. Now, there's two ways to hold a pick. I suggest you try them both and work out which one's more comfortable for you. It's different for everyone. The first way is to have 2 fingers on one side and a thumb on the other side with the sharp triangular part pointing out the top like that. And then you use that to strum the string. That's the first way. The second way is to have your index finger curled over, sit the pick on top of your index finger and then grab it with your thumb. So you end up with a curved finger at the back and a thumb on the other side. And you use that to strum the strings. Try them both out. Whichever one feels more natural, more comfortable for you, just go with that. Either's fine. I tend to do the 2 fingers on one side, thumb on the other, probably because I started playing bass first and then went to guitar, I guess, but either one's fine. It doesn't really matter. As long as you've got the pointy end pointing out. Now you'd have about 3/4 of the pick in the grasp of your fingers and you only want that little edge sticking out. If you have it too far out and you're trying to pick the strings and it'll fall out of your hands. If you have it tucked in too far, of course, you can't actually grab the strings with the bit of pick. So keep about 2/3 of it tucked away and just the end pointing out. And then try and play all 6 strings, starting from above the top one and finishing below the bottom one. I can hear some half-decent E chords coming out. That's great. Good work.
Mind you, I tuned mine into my phone. I've got an app on my phone, so I've tuned it in.
Yeah, brilliant. That's awesome. That's awesome. You can get plenty of free apps on your mobile phones, guitar tuners, which will just, the key to them is it tells you what string and then you line up the needle directly vertical so it's right in the middle. Because if it's off to one side, it'll be too high. If it's off the other side, it's too low. But usually when they get to the middle, they'll change colors or it'll flash a light or something will indicate that that's those free guitar apps, those tuner apps are great. They work really well and they cost nothing. So bonus. All right. Looks like Dave Dixon's frozen up too. I can still see him here, but he's kind of frozen.
Am I?
Yeah.
Quite warm, actually.
You're frozen. You're frozen like this. You're not even looking at me. You're frozen looking at the wall. But that's okay. As long as you can still hear me, you can still. I don't need to see you. You just need to be able to see me. So we're all good. Okay. Grab your pencils. Jot that picture into your E chord on your sheet, and then we're going to move on to another chord. Actually, I won't rub it off yet. What I'll do is I'll leave that up there and I'll draw the next chord next to it. Rightio. So the chord we're going to look at second is the, excuse me, the one that's right next to it, E, M. Now, M stands for minor, as in the opposite of major. Major kind of means big, minor kind of means little, okay? So the minor chords are slightly different forms of the same thing. So it's 90% the same, but there'll be one little alteration which will change the sound of the chord. But like I said, all these other types of E chords, doesn't matter if it's E minor, E7, E sharp 11, sus5 with a 13th raised, doesn't matter how complicated it is, it's all derived from the E major chord, okay? So these are the building blocks that allow us to create all the other types of chords as we go along. Now, the way we turn an E into an E minor, very, very simple. We take that original shape, 1, 2, 3, we make the first finger disappear. That now just becomes another open string. So what we're left with is 2 and 3. And that one little alteration will completely change the sound of the chord and give us a brand new chord. Now this one's actually easier to play because there's only 2 fingers. So I take my E shape, remove my first finger now. I can just do that third string as an open string. And now I've got an E minor chord. So give that a crack. Good stuff. Now, if you can get clever with your fingers and figure out how to change from one to the other, you can actually teach yourself to hear the difference between the major chord, the E, and the minor chord. It's only one note difference, but if you have a careful listen, you can hear a different flavor to the chord. Generally, we think of major chords as sounding happy and minor chords as sounding sad, okay? That's just a good rule of thumb to remember in your brain to help you to start to distinguish the sounds of the chords when you're beginning out. An E and an E minor. Right. We're not going to do the 7 or the minor 7 yet because we'll come back to them another day. I want to get onto a couple of different chords. So can you please make sure you've got those 2 written down on your sheets? Just double check that you've got the fingers and the strings in the right places. You don't want to copy the picture down wrong because then you'll learn it wrong during the week. And we'll move on to our next chord. Just quickly jot those 2 down for me. All right. Can I wipe this off? Everyone's got that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yep, good. And Jim, I
Yeah,
can't...
I'm all good.
Yep, awesome. All right, we're going to jump across to the other piece of paper now, and we're going to look at A. I think my text is starting to run out a bit. That's all right, I'll draw slower. Who just played the A chord then? Awesome.
Me.
Okay, so you're a couple of steps ahead of me, are you?
I've done a little bit of homework lead up.
Oh, mate, well done. That's awesome. Good on you. Good on you. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to fill in the gaps in the theory as we go along, even if you already know the chord forms, and that'll help you to just solidify the stuff that you know already into your mind as we go. So we're going to start with A. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. Give me 2 seconds. My apologies. Okay, so A starts out here, finger number 1 on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, okay? And then we want to put our 2nd finger over the top, our 3rd finger underneath. Now this one can be a little tricky. There's a few different ways of playing A. A couple of people suggest different fingerings for this chord. Some of them are more useful than others. This is the most versatile version of this, and that's why we start with this one. So the way we do it is like this. First finger goes on the 3rd 1, 2, 3 string up to the 2nd fret. Then I've got to fit my 2nd finger over the top and my 3rd finger underneath. Now, in order to do that, probably going to have to move my 1st finger back a little bit. So it won't sit right up here at the fret. It'll sit back more here, more in the middle of the fret. And then this finger can go above and below it. So they form a little triangular group tucked in here. But they're all behind the 2nd fret, and that's what's key. Nothing's coming over that line or I'm going to ruin the sound of my chord. Once I got 3 in the position, I can strum it and I get an A chord. Good. I can hear A chords. That's awesome.
I got a question here, Chris.
Yes, mate.
Is Jeff here?
Yes, Jeff.
I got some material here, and it was suggested to have the fingers as in 1, 2, 3 coming down.
Yep.
And it just made it easier that with the number, the first index being off. So as soon as I went into a minor, I took that off and just dropped it down.
Yeah.
And that's the way I was shown.
Yep.
Is there any problem, or which is the better way of playing the A?
Yeah. Okay.
Because I just found the transition from major to minor really easy with the second, third, and fourth finger that way, raising the fourth and dropping the first straight on. It was more or less in position.
Yeah.
So is it your way the better way, or the normal way?
Yep. Okay. Great question. First of all, welcome back. Welcome back to Rob. You finally got back in. Awesome.
Power outage, mate. Bloody.
Oh, no. What a pain in the butt. All right. Hopefully we'll figure out a way of being able to catch you up, but I will keep moving.
Yeah, I'll just
now.
watch.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I'll keep moving. Now. Just to address now who was it? Oh, sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Jeff.
Jeff. My apologies, Jeff. Got to learn your name. Sorry. Just to address Jeff's question, what he's saying is, I suggested that we play A like this, with our first finger in the middle, second over the top, third underneath. And he suggested that he'd been shown to play it as 2, 3, 4 like this because it makes it easy to then flick to A minor. Now, he's absolutely right. The only problem is A and A minor never appear in a song together, okay? 99 times out of 100, they won't be in the same song. But A will be in with D7 all the time. It will be in with C. It will be in with G. And for those chords, that position is much easier to get to. So you're absolutely spot on right. It was much easier to do that transition from A to A minor when you use this shape. Unfortunately, A and A minor never go together in the real world. Yeah? They're what we call parallel chords. Yeah. So there are some rare instances where you can use them off the back of each other, but it's very, very rare. Instead, the chord A will often go with D, G, and C, and A minor will go with E minor, C, and more often than not, D minor. So the shape I'm suggesting is the one that's the most versatile and makes it easiest to move through songs. And that's why I suggested that position first. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. There's also what they call the AC/DC A, which is where you play that A with one finger across those 3 middle strings. And the reason they call it the AC/DC A is because Malcolm Young didn't give a stuff about chord voicing. He didn't care if all the strings worked. He'd play his A chord like that because it was just bloody easy. Like that, all day long. So I was shaking out the knees. Right, so he uses his A chord like that because he has to put in no effort to get it to work. And on an electric guitar with lots of distortion, it comes out really, really good. Sounds great, okay? So there's lots of different ways to play each of these chords. I'm going to teach you the one that's the most valuable for you as a beginner in how to put chords together and make songs. Happy with that answer?
Good, thank you.
Spot on, no worries. Let's keep moving. So we've got our A chord, 1, 2, 3. To change an A into an A minor, again, there's only one little change we have to make. This note here that was on the second string needs to go back to the first fret now instead of the second fret. So we've got that one, and these two are the same. Unfortunately, we can't just pick that finger up and push it over to the other side of our hand, so we've got to redesign how we play the chord. We'll start with finger 1 back here to do this new note, then 2 and 3 can go up here, and that looks very much like the E chord we learnt a minute ago. It's just on different strings. So have a crack at that one. First finger on the second string, next 2 on the third and fourth. Good. Once again, once you get your head around the changes, you can put the 2 chords back to back and hear the difference between them. Happy, sad, happy, sad. Okay, there's a distinction. That one little changed note makes a huge difference to the harmony that happens inside the chord, which gives it a different emotional feel. Rightio. found those two chords on your chord sheets underneath A and A minor. Make sure you've got the right numbers in the right positions. And we'll keep moving.
On that first one for your A,
Yep.
is it, how's it, I can't see the numbering for
Sorry.
the screen on the line.
Yeah, okay. So 1 is in the middle, 2 is on the 4th string,
Right.
3 is on the 2nd string. I might invest in some new whiteboard markers before next week.
Yep, no worries. Thank you.
Too easy. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All right, we're gonna have a look at one more chord before we end up today's session because we've eaten up half an hour already. So I'm going to rub this out. And the next chord we're going to look at is on the bottom of that same page. It's D. Rightio. So D starts in the same position that A started in. Number 1 in the middle, okay? And this is a very good reason to use that other A shape because it allows you to have a similar finger to D, which makes it easy to flip around between those two chords. So that's the same note we started off A with. Then what we do is we put our second finger right down underneath it on the bottom string. So I got 1 and 2 on the same fret, but 2 strings apart. Then our third finger sits in between and in front. Here on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. That gives us our little triad, 1, 2, 3, to play a D chord. Now there's one more thing you need to know about a D chord. We can no longer play the 6th string. And that's why I wanted to quickly get to this one before we finish up today. So this one, when you strum it, you can only strum from the 5th string downwards. If you put that 6th string over the top of a D chord, you ruin the D chord and it sounds horrible. So now we've got 1 here, 2 underneath, 3 in between, and we're only strumming from the 5th string down. Cannot play that top string anymore. Sounds really nice. Good, you've got a string out of tune, but that sounds good too. Okay, so jot that chord down on the bottom of your sheet under D. Make sure you don't put it in D minor or D7. It's just D, okay? Make sure you mark in that 6th string with a big cross at the top of it to remember that you can't strum that string. You can only play the other 5. This is what we call a 5-string chord, okay? There are other strings, other chords that you can only play 4 strings or 3 strings or whatever. But this is the first one where we can't just go hacking away with our right hand. We've actually got to control what we're doing. So you're only strumming from the 5th string downwards. Don't include that top string. Now,
Excuse me. Quick question here, Chris.
Yes,
Jeff. We can drop the 5th string as well.
you can, yeah, technically you can. But what happens is the more strings you drop, the more body you lose in the chord. Now that 5th string is an A, which technically is the 5th note out of a D scale, so it still fits. If I leave it off, the chord starts to sound a bit thin. That's why I suggest you put it back on there, just to put body in the chord.
Right. Okay. Because being the triad, I noticed that the 5th string is the A, so it's part of that triad of the D chord.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, you're spot on. Yep, it is. We use it. It's the 5th note out of the. It's the D chord's made up of the 1, the 3, and the 5 out of a D scale, and that's the 5. So it fits in very nicely and sounds great.
Can I ask that now, which hasn't been mentioned? A chord is a triad of 3 notes, right?
These
now,
chords are, yes.
Yes. Is it always chords? I've been told that a chord is always a triad, 3 notes. So, but I noticed that some notes are like half notes, either a bass or a sharp in between.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 2 ideas at once, what you're talking about there. Major chords and minor chords are triads. They only have 3 different notes of them. But once we start moving into 7th chords, now we've got 4 different notes. Then we can have chords of 5 different notes or 6 different notes or 7 different notes. So there are a bunch of different chord forms. Yeah. Now, sharps and flats come into play when you change keys, when you're moving around in different keys. Some of these notes that we've played today are sharps. For example, this note here is an F sharp, okay? But we haven't learned what that's called yet. We're just learning the position to get the shape, yeah? I'll talk more about that theory at a later date, but at the moment, we don't really need to know that in order to just play the chord and start learning songs. And my interest is to get you guys playing songs as quickly as possible. We'll add that theory stuff in as we go, but sharps and flats, yep, sharps and flats we'll get to, but we don't need to look at that today. We can just get a couple of basic shapes, get our hands around it, and then we can start learning a song. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's great.
Awesome, awesome. Now I'm going to end the session there. What I want to do though is hopefully if I can get Rob to just hang around for a couple of minutes, I'll quickly run over what you missed out on, and then we'll be all back on the same page for next week's lesson. Is everyone okay with that?
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. So practice your chord shapes. Get yourself, if you haven't already done it, get yourself a little guitar tuner app on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer or something, and follow the instructions in that to teach yourself how to tune your own guitar up. You look up YouTube if you want. There's a bunch of little 2-minute clips which will show you exactly how to tune your guitar, and then we can talk about that next week once you've all had a bit of a crack at it on your own. So I'll say goodbye to everyone else, so you can hang around if you like, but I'm just going to be covering the same stuff with Rob, and I'll see you guys next week, and thank you so much for being part of this program. I think we're going to have a blast.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next week, we'll get our last couple of chords up, and then we're going to start our first song, which will be Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan.
Is just before everyone disappears, is everyone happy? If I put a screenshot of all us playing with going through all this up on Facebook and that?
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
fine.
good for me, mate.
Yeah, good promotion.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I've also recorded the session, so once we've finished the session and it's off, I'll make sure I've got the link there. You can all go back and watch it again if you want to run over something again. So I'll do that every week, so you'll have access to the recorded sessions after we've finished them.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Excellent. See you later, gentlemen. Except for Rob, you hang around for a minute.
Yep, Roger.
See you guys.
Yep.
See ya.
Okay. So while they drop out, mate, what
Yep.
was the last thing you heard before your power cut out?
Nah, literally. G'day.
Oh, okay, cool. So first thing I'll get you to do is grab the sheet that says note positions on it.
Yep.
And we'll look at that first quickly.
So you're meaning this one?
That's the one.
Yep.
Right, so what we're looking at there is basically the top of the neck of the guitar. We've got our 6 strings running down this way.
Yep.
And then we've got all these little lines running crossways.
Yep.
Okay, now our 6 circles that are at the top are the names of those 6 strings. Each one is a different letter, okay?
Yep.
So what I'll do very quickly is write them in: E, B, G, D, A, and E. Now, if I play any of those strings without a finger on it, just play the open string, those are the notes I'm going to get. Now, notice the first and the 6th are the same note. This one on the 6th string is a low E. This one on the 1st string is a high E. I'll show you what I mean. Basically, I'm playing, that one there is here. Now, that's the string that sits closest to your face when you've got the guitar on your lap. And then the one down the bottom, the thinnest string, gives me a high E. So I've got a low E and a high E, but they're both called E. Okay?
Yep.
This little, the strings run in reverse order. This one's the 1st string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, right? And there's a little sentence we can remember to remember these letters. Easter bunny gets drunk at Easter. Okay? If you keep that in your head, you'll be able to remember the names of the open strings, which is valuable information later on.
Yep.
Cool. Now, these lines that run down this way are what we call frets. F-R-E-T. Okay? This thick line at the top, the thick black line at the top there, which represents this piece of plastic across the top here. You can't actually put your finger there. That doesn't do anything. That's what we call the nut.
Yeah.
It's basically the point where the string folds over, and that's where our string resonates from. From that point there, right down to the bridge at the bottom, the string vibrates between those 2 lengths, and that's what gives us our sound, obviously. Okay?
Yeah.
So then we look at our frets, and we start counting them from 0 downwards. So that's the 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd, 4th, etc., etc.
Yep.
Now, all these other notes in these little circles in here, we haven't filled out any of that yet. We just did those first 6 today.
Yep.
So as long as you've got that jotted down on your sheet, that's all we did for today with that sheet.
Yep. Good.
Cool. Now, the next sheet we looked at, have you got that? Can I rub that off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, awesome. The next sheet we looked at was the open chords, the one that has E,
Yep.
F, and G down the left-hand side of it.
Yep. Got that.
Good. Okay, so our first chord was E.
Yep.
Now, I've got a bunch of little circles here, and then I've got numbers on them. 1, 2, 3. That's how I play an E chord. That's what an E chord looks like on paper.
Yep.
That's how it works. The fingers on my left hand are numbered. We don't count the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? These different positions tell me that I have to put finger number 1 on the 3rd string at the 1st fret. Finger number 2 goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th string at the 2nd fret. Finger number 3 goes on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. Once I get them into that position, I can now play an E chord. So here's what it looks like on my guitar. I get my guitar and I say, okay, I need 3rd string, 1st fret. So I go 1, 2, 3 up to the 3rd string and then to the 1st fret, and I push that down there just behind the fret. Don't stick it over the top. Don't stick it too far back. It's got to be just behind here, drawn, okay? Once I get that in position, I look for number 2, which goes up on the 5th string. Same dealio, just behind the fret. Number 3 tucks underneath.
Yep.
Once I've got those 3 strings in those positions, I can strum everything and I get an E chord.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Now, the next chord we looked at. Oh, do you want to try that quickly for me? Get your fingers in those positions. Awesome.
Get out of tune.
Yeah, that's okay. It looks like you're doing it right though. So then we looked at the next chord after that, which was next to it, which was EM.
Yep.
Which stands for E minor, which is literally big E, little e. That's kind of what the major and minor refer to. These ones with just the letter names, they're all called major chords, but we don't call them E major, F major. We just call them E, F, G, A, B, whatever. These are the building blocks. Everything starts with these. Once you learn the major chords, you then alter them slightly to get all the other different chords that you want, okay? So E minor is constructed by slightly altering the E chord. What we do is we take that same group, but we make the first finger disappear. So now it becomes an open string, and then 2 and 3 stay exactly where they were. And now by making that one little alteration, we've completely changed the sound and the feel of that chord. So E would look like this, 1, 2, 3. E minor, if I take that finger away, now I've got a different sound chord. Good.
Right.
Your guitar is out of tune, but you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
okay, so
righto.
did you see A and A minor?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
First
so
place,
that's all we
moving that
talked
finger.
about.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all we talked about from when you dropped out to when you came back with just that other sheet with the notes, and then this one with E and E minor.
Yeah, cool. Righto.
All right, so that's caught you up for now. So I'll let you go for now. I've got to go inside and feed me kids. So
No, I appreciate you staying back. Thanks for
my
that.
pleasure, my pleasure. I'll see you the same time next week then, okay?
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. Much appreciated.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.